Welcome to Big Talk, live from the nation's capital. My name is Udikat Michael. Tonight we'll look at very big questions in the room. Is democracy in Nigeria under threat? Because Obasanjo the week was speaking and of course raising concerns about democracy, describing that democracy is failing and dying in Africa. I also made context looking at Nigeria at the recent event in Rivers State, which drew a lot of reactions. The former President Jonathan has also spoken about that concern coming from Rivers State as well. A major opposition leader, Peter Obi, also spoke on the matter. And all of them are saying that there is a problem with our democracy. And tonight we'll be x-raying all of that. Under President Bola Tinubu, 2 years of the administration, how far has our democracy advanced? The rule of law, are the concerns about the generality of the three arms of government, the checks and balances that it ought to be, and what is the way forward for Nigeria, and of course the Rivers State event that also led to the suspension of the governor and the deputy governor, even the House of Assembly were not spared out of all of that concern. I'll be joined by ANSLEM, he's my guest tonight to look at all of this concern, former National Youth Leader of Labour Party. Thanks so much for joining us on the show.
It's my pleasure.
Yes. And let's start with first, your Labour Party. We saw the press statement coming yesterday, and a lot of people were looking at what is the issue with Abura's case? What is the position of the law in all of these?
Well, thank you very much, and fellow Nigerians. The issues of a Labour Party are lingering issues. That is because the relevant authorities are probably omitted or refused or deliberately refused to deal with the issues. And these issues are basically very clear. There are cases of perjury. Perjury means when people forge court documents. Abure, in the course of the 2023 general elections, there are a lot of maladministration. Cases of forgery of court document, court affidavit, court seal, court letterhead, TSA payment receipts. So in all of these cases, the courts, FCTI court that was involved in this matter was contacted by the Forced Criminal Investigation Department, the FCID. And of course, those courts wrote back to say, yes, these things supposedly are out, but they are not, but they are forged. So that established, so the summary of this is to say there were petitions written by a lot of persons, but basically the one that pertains to the Ebonyi State governorship candidate, Oko Eze Splendor, went through the entire process, and there were indictment. So Julius Abure was indicted, Umar Farouk Ibrahim, the then secretary, was indicted, Clement Ojukwu was indicted, the beneficiary of the process in Ebonyi, illegal beneficiary, Architect Edward Nkwegu, was indicted. So there were recommendations for their prosecution. I think today I should give you that document now. In the press conference of yesterday, those documents were displayed. However, arising from that indictment and prosecution order from the Inspector General of Police to the Honorable Attorney General of Federation for prosecution since 25th of October 2023. So there had not been prosecution, so this is the issue. So the party is now insisting that the Attorney General now ought to prosecute now. So again, let me say something quickly, because there is no subsisting tenure for Abure. Our tenure expired on the 8th of June 2024. So as it were, the leadership of the Labour Party as it stands today by the resolution of the National Executive Council is such that Senator Nenadi Usman is the national chairman of the Labour Party, of course in acting capacity, pending when the congresses and the all-inclusive
the party convention
party is conducted.
That was a part of the provision to hold and conduct convention, Senator Usman.
Yeah, because the issue is this. I remember saying there is this what called the terms of settlement. There's an out-of-court settlement that formed the terms of settlement, which the NLC, the Nigeria Labour Congress, and the Labour Party signed upon on the 27th of June 2022. So it was those terms that formed the basis for how Labour Party will move ahead. So Abure ideally was meant to conduct those processes. But however, Abure did not conduct congresses at the ward level, at the local government level, at the state level. There were no delegates elected.
Because there were shenanigans what we had in Anambra State.
So what we had in Anambra State was just, There was nothing that took place there. It was an illegal process.
All right.
There is nowhere in the world where a national convention of a political party will take place without due process. And the processes are the congresses that give birth to the party structure. At the ward level, you elect the ward executive, the local government executive, the state executive, now delegates who will come to the national convention and vote for the national working committee members of the party. That's the apex of the electioneering process of convention.
All right. I mean, it's a development.
INEC as an institution already disclaimed all of that process, and there is an affidavit. INEC affidavit on oath will give you that document that showed that there was no convention. So arbitrary tenure lapsed by a fraction of time, which is our own legal tenure.
All right. The matters, I mean, on the faces of many Nigerians is about the current state of this country. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo is speaking, is saying that democracy is failing and dying in Nigeria. Peter Obi is also saying that democracy is collapsing. Former President Jonathan has also spoken on our democracy. So those who feel if APC is endangering Nigeria's democracy as we speak, you are one of those who have participated in all of these struggles for our democracy. You understand better. How far can you measure the democracy under this administration, or in general, government of Buhari, the 8 years of Buhari, and now that we're having another 2 years of this APC government, making it almost 10 years of APC government?
Well, basically, Bible speaking in Psalms 11 verse 3 say, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? So basically, every society is built on a foundation. So but the extent to which that foundation is solid or concrete makes it viable for structures or superstructures to be built upon it. Now basically, you remember the Fourth Republic started with His Excellency President Olusegun Obasanjo in 1999. When it came, we saw a lot of things in that era. Of course, it was in that era, basically, we saw how ballot boxes were being snatched. It was in that era, basically, we saw how PDP will rig elections and tell you, go to court. For instance, in that era, too, we saw so many issues that give rise to states of emergency. We saw the matter of OD crisis, we saw the Zakibian, we saw the Plateau state of emergency. We saw some of these things. Now, I'm using this point by way of reflection to talk about the foundation. To say, President Olusegun Obasanjo did his best in the circumstances in that era. But however, that era is not absorbed of the issues that have become endemic today. Now, again, fast forward, if you look at the era of President Jonathan, who to a very large extent showed the tendencies for democracy, liberal democracy, where at the time Nigerians said he was a weak president because he preferred to approach issues via the rule of law. So that, on one hand, showed a lot of weakness, probably because Nigerians expected a man with I don't know how to use that word now. Are you getting it? Rather than having the institutions to work their part by rule of law, they wanted a man who could impose. But good luck, Ebele Jonathan basically did not impose himself on the system. But again, that was his own undoing. We saw a man who eventually he set the stage for transparent electioneering processes in Nigeria, and he became a victim of a transparent electoral process as to how he was defeated in 2015, and His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari came in. The struggle that brought in Buhari, we are living witnesses. The Occupy Nigeria struggle, the whole of so many struggles, so many protests. President Jonathan in his era gave security to the protester. His Excellency today, President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu led most of those onslaught in that era. I remember seeing on this station, His Excellency then Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu led the onslaught that ousted President Jonathan, that brought in Buhari, basically by that alliance. Again, he led his own onslaught that brought him to power. Recently, we saw a flawed electoral process by reason of results collation. Now, of course, His Excellency Peter Obi was a victim of so many issues during his era as a governor in Anambra State. He was impeached, I think, on 2 different occasions. But
do you feel that the National Assembly would have helped the situation as when the matter was on the floor?
Certainly.
And how would have they been able to do that?
What we expected was, since the president has already gazetted, and the law says within 2 days, if the assembly was in session, they will convey that session in the Senate and House of Reps to ratify or reject the position of the president. So which means the National Assembly had the rare privilege to write their name in gold in democracy, looking at the pros and the cons, with respect to that declaration of the president, to say, oh, His Excellency, we may not need to go the full off with respect to the emergency declaration, to say, let the democratic structures remain. So the National Assembly should have been able to reverse that aspect by way of 2/3 majority of those present voting against certain sections of the declaration. Because the declaration is not just, it's a whole issues lumped together. You have the issues of the state executive that affected the governor, the deputy, and the commissioners, for instance. You have the aspect of the legislature that affected the 23 or 26 state assembly members that today are nowhere. So, of course, we had the economic aspect that had to do with, of course, the Rivers State is one of the key states that produces oil for the country. So we understand the point at which national security we treat it for economic reasons by way of pipeline vandalism, and equally for the threats that were issued. We saw communities, we saw tribes, we saw ethnic regrouping, the Jaws versus probably the minister of FCT and the rest to say no, we will not. So there were a lot of issues going on at the same time. But however, I want to appeal to Mr. President he has the veto power notwithstanding. He can still make a recommendation to the House to say so part of the declaration will be rescinded. Let us reinstate the democratic structure. Because the danger in this is, in the days ahead, there are going to be a lot of regrouping. Yes, the civil societies, the non-governmental organizations, other opposition political parties, religious bodies, tribal bodies, ethnic groupings. These things are going to happen. The national security, they know better than what I'm saying, because it is palpable, you can feel it.
Do you really feel that appointing a sole administrator is unconstitutional to resolving that issues?
Well, appointment of sole administrator is not unconstitutional, because ideally when a state of emergency is declared, it means those who have right of way, right of access in leadership will lose those privileges. So that means the president will have a veto to appoint a sole administrator. So that is that scenario in which a sole administrator was appointed.
Well, now the sole administrator is now given all the executive power in the state.
Yes,
so people feel that a lot of things is wrong with that move.
There's nothing wrong with that move, because it is the scenario that led to that. The scenario of a state of emergency precludes a situation where the president has extra powers
to government house.
So the president has powers over that state now. You get to govern the state at his own behest, at his own discretion, taking into consideration people he feel might be able to serve that state in the best national interest from those he had worked with previously.
Okay.
For instance, for him to have appointed the sole administrator, it then means that sole administrator had certain leadership and administrative capabilities that the president himself must have been privy to pray out before now to enable him, because the president is now the more of the governor of that.
People said he would have been a civilian rather than being coming from the military.
Yeah. You see, we have foundational issues in Nigeria, because for the better part of our existence, after independence, we've had more of military administration. So we have been ruled more by the military regimes and systems. So it is that introduced the lexicon of maybe the sole administrator having to be a military personnel. It can be a policeman, serving or retired, army, navy, any of these military security personnel, or DSS and the rest of them. So again, let me say this to say, some of the military people have additional advantage or advantages over the civilians, ordinarily. That is part of my background, I can say for that, because the military, they have a dual experience. They have the civilian experience and they have the military, are you getting it, experience? So, and they are vast, and they have this wide outreach, in the sense that if you ever serve in the military, you will have been taken virtually around the country, from north to south to east to west, and be trained in different places across the globe. So this gives a lot of advantage. But however, I am not encouraging what happened. I'm only trying to give a broad-based overview of the entire process to say, first and foremost, the declaration of the state of emergency is a legal procedure by constitutional provision, and the powers to so declare is vested on the President of the Federal Republic on the grounds that there are threats to peace, security, and certain economic interests of the country or states. And to the extent again that there are warring factions that refused to resolve the issues, as we saw in Rivers State. So, but the danger in what has happened is to say democratic structures have been destroyed, and that was facilitated because the National Assembly failed in their duties. Not because they are in APC. If it is for APC issues, it's a different matter. Advise the President proper to say, okay, Mr. President, yes, let there be a state of emergency. However, let the democratic structures of the executive, the state assembly, and the rest remain. So beef up security. Are you getting? Because the state governor has no powers over security. So to accuse the state governor of not protecting infrastructural facilities like the oil wells and the rest of them, I mean, that's out of place. Those are powers of the president and the national security. So if there are lapses in those areas, then you hold the federal government responsible for failing in their own duties. But however, for the quarrel that ensued between the governor and the FCT minister, what Nigerians have criticized mostly, or part of it, is to say the president did not apportion any blame to the FCT minister, who probably is the
Attorney General said that he is not known in the eyes of the law for all of those matters. That the matters that was in the court was between the House of Assembly and the governor, which is known by the law.
Well, you see, on the face of
that's the justification that's been given.
The law is correct, but you see, the law is not only constitutional; it's also conventional. Conventional because you have to devise a lot of ways and means to engineer peace, progress, and development. So, the world is aware that the FCT minister is the center point.
He's a major actor in all of this.
Major actor in this crisis. You cannot isolate him. Not minding whether it's the FCT minister working on behalf of the president as an appointee. So if your appointee, are you getting it, has created a scenario in his own state, you have a duty to call him to order. So one would have expected that the president will also suspend the FCT minister for being a party in that crisis in Rivers State, ordinarily. So that way, probably part of the agitations now by Nigerians might be, let the FCT minister be suspended.
So it's more like one party being punished and the other party exonerated from the matter.
Obviously, this is what it is. So, and the president cannot afford to give.
So about those that will feel that the House of Assembly have also been suspended just as the executive?
Yeah, because the president had to exercise the full weight of his powers for reasons known to him.
Does it look that the camp of Wike have also lose out of all of this intervention by the president? Because there are people that felt that it's the governor and his team and his supporters that have lost, because it was a political faction, a fight between two factions. So at the end of the day, is this a win for our democracy? Is this a win for our national development? Or is it a political win for APC? Because there are those that are also saying that this was orchestrated just to capture a PDP, a ruling state, by the APC.
Well, I want to basically differ to a very large extent from that assertion, notwithstanding that Mr. President is I'm of the Labour Party, for instance, so ideally politically I have no interest because that's a PDP state and the president is APC and I'm a Labour man. But for those of us in opposition, we have to look at the issues very dispassionately. Of course, politically, one would attribute the declaration to an attempt at conquest ahead of 2027, because Rivers State being one of the swing states, is one of the three major states that brings enough vote to the table, ideally. And if you look at the political configuration with the regrouping taking place in Nigeria, if you have Lagos, you have Kano, you have Rivers, the North is virtually regrouping politically. If you look at it from that angle, Mr. President will have to be more desperate to hold on to Rivers State, ideally, politically. But I really do not want to feel that is the first consideration for this state of emergency. But it could be part of the condiment in the pot in the long run.
You're a politician.
In the long run, because as a politician, you need to look ahead of time and see what betters your interest in the long run. But of course, the 6 months will no doubt create a scenario where the APC will have an advantage because people are already perceiving that by the time the state of emergency is resolved, we might see a situation where the governor is defecting to APC, or probably certain arrangement will have been entered such that the governor will ensure that the APC in the next election is able to capture the state, because the president virtually basically going to harmonize the interests of the FCT minister, who is his key front man in the state, as it were, and probably this governor who has been ousted or using the sole administrator to deepen political processes within these 6 months, if it extends to 6 months. But that is by the way. But I think the president had looked beyond 2027, first and foremost in the line with national interest and security. And for the mere fact that if he allowed the situation in Rivers State to have continued beyond at the time he declared, probably there would have been chaos by now. Those are some of the assumptions. But like I said, our disagreement is to the extent that Mr. President has uprooted democratic structure, himself being one of the fervent advocate of democracy. President Tinubu is reckoned to be one of the fervent agitators for democracy in this country. The
people are now saying that voices of oppositions and some people that are speaking out are being silenced by the government under this administration.
Well, all of these insinuations could be founded or unfounded. For instance, I have a belief in life that if you think what you have to say is correct, go ahead and say it. For instance, that's me.
But do you agree that silencing voice of people is not the best way for democracy to work and to strive?
Well, that is why opposition in democracy, the spice of democracy is opposition.
Because even your former presidential candidate have come out to say that he is under threat even by the ruling political party. So it's not just a normal Nigerian that is speaking. If Mr. Peter Obi, as a former governor of the state, can come out to say that they are threatening him, he's under severe attacks for calling out or for speaking out, that his criticism is being seen as a crime in general. So, but a lot of persons are now speaking out. We saw a young corps member who came out the other time, to make some description about the current state of the nation. Oh Lord, also would tell you that Nigerians' freedom of speech is not guaranteed in this country. Some person making tweet on Twitter, the next time or the next day you see the person being arrested and tried. So what is your assessment about that? Because as a Democrat, that President Tinubu, many have described, even just as many have described, that he is one of those who loves democracy, fought for democracy. Things of this nature ought to have always been distanced from him. Well,
thank you. Let me answer some of the questions you raised. You have raised quite a number of questions. One, Peter Obi. Again, let me also use your point to commend His Excellency Peter Obi for his own efforts, and to also make, each time his matter comes up, I try to add advice. Now, what's expected as he's the leader of our party. Now, what's expected is for the party to be behind him always. Are you with me? Now, the essence for that is to say, as he criticizes the government, we are critics. This is what we do. For instance, the matter in Labour Party, if I come to Peter Obi, we've had where people say, oh, President Tinubu is the one backing Julius Abure, and as such, nothing can be done about Abure. We say no. If President Tinubu were backing Abure and the police have indicted Abure and there is a prosecution order, are you with me? Before the Attorney General of Federation, for Abure to be prosecuted, to be brought to court for prosecution.
it behoves on us as Labour Party officials to insist that that order which was given be implemented. So, and it is part of the reason a press conference was called yesterday, bringing it to the public glare, to the world, to say these are issues. There are issues of indictment and prosecution. AGF, go ahead and prosecute. If you don't prosecute within a set time, the Labour Party and the civil society organization in Nigeria will come for picketing. So, but if you have any reason why Abure is no more guilty, then let us have that reason. But so long as the police, the authority to investigate, have indicted him and recommended for prosecution, so you have no reason not to prosecute. But you have any reason not to prosecute, then give us that extra reason and let us wait and see. Are you there? So that is that about that. Two, to say, I just said something that if you have what to say that is real and genuine, go ahead and say it. Mr. Peter Obi has made a lot of statements. We respect not attacking the personality of His Excellency, but attacking policies that are not working, or probably providing solutions as to how best certain policies should be implemented for the impact of the country. So this he must do. But my advice to him is the party has to be, you see, he's going it solo. It doesn't work that way. So His Excellency Peter Obi, we have to find a way of coming back to the party. Are you getting it? We have to, at all time, arrive at certain decisions on certain issues. Are you getting it? And joint statements be issued from the party. Him be the party leader, as it were, and the party be with him the same position on national issues. So that even if President Tinubu says, okay, he wants to arrest Peter Obi, then you have all of us, are you getting it, to be arrested? And of course, we'll be ready to be arrested. So this is an advice. So that he doesn't feel dejected and feel isolated, as if to say, are you getting it, they are coming for only him. No. But that is because of the situation he found himself. And that is the leadership style Abure created in the party to isolate everybody. Again, for the party, quickly, so that nobody thinks Abure is no more the national chairman of the party. That point should be clear to the world. Abure tenure elapsed.
His name is still on the portal, INEC
Abure's
portal.
name has to be removed from the INEC.
But as we speak, it's still on the portal.
That's the point.
So
Abure's name has no basis under the law. I will give you the INEC affidavit of oath now. I will share it today, so that the world will see that INEC, as an institution of government who is in charge of that process, in writing, in court, has said the tenure, are you getting it, elapsed in June, June 8 specifically, 2024, and that Abure did not conduct the processes, congresses, are you getting it, leading to convention, and as such the convention which they claim they conducted is non-existent, is non-void. So INEC has no basis, are you with me, to keep Abure's name in their portal. Let it be known to INEC. Two, the only authority that should be in the INEC portal is Nenadi Usman and Senator Dalitu Wokocha, whom the National Executive Council of the party appointed on the 4th of September 2022, even though that tenure elapsed on the 3rd of March 2025, 2 weeks ago thereabout. But of course, the only subsisting leadership, because there's no vacuum, there can't be vacuum, we still have to be Senator Nenadi Usman and Dalitu Wokocha as chairman and secretary, pending when a NEC meeting is being conveyed, has been sent to INEC to be conveyed for further ratification to fill vacancies. Are you with me? So, in a nutshell, to come back home to say, Showore, Peter Obi, those in opposition, everybody, nobody needs to be scared. This is for the love of country. President Tinubu is the foremost activist that I can talk of, who has participated in these processes, agitated, had been pursued severally, ran away and came back, continued the struggle. He was alone in 1999 to 2007. He was alone as an AD state, for which even under President Obasanjo, we are living witnesses to how the resources of Lagos State were withheld for almost 8 years or thereabout. Are you with me? Against the provisions of the law. And then Governor Tinubu managed, however he did it, to keep the state afloat for 8 years. Are you with me? So, if we are talking about all of the unconventional issues, the unconstitutionality, they did not start today. That's why I started by talking about if the foundation be destroyed. But of course, again, we must give it to His Excellency, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, for being a father, even at his age now, because the much he can do now is to
advise.
To advise.
So if he's speaking, should APC be seen that as a threat? Because we've also had a situation where Obasanjo have said, corruption is getting worse in Nigeria, and APC had responded towards the former president and head of state, saying that, under his watch, we had almost the same situation. So, but APC and the ruling party or the government of the day are not accepting advice coming from Obasanjo. So it probably may lose that this government are not listening to other voices or other dissenting opinions.
Yes, we should understand that there has been an age-long warfare, probably from 1999 to date, between President Olusegun Obasanjo, ideally, His Excellency today, President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, dating back to some of the issues I just dotted now, how funds for Lagos State were withheld by the federal government, and the Lagos State had to make do by whatever means to sustain. That in itself was an illegality, ordinarily. So you see, these are foundations
to still being carried on.
Now, but what is expected, ideally, is to say, like I give an accolade to President Asiwaju by reason of his track record in the struggle, so that as a man who's experienced in the struggle, this democratic struggle, there are certain things that are not expected of him. So he's supposed to now shine that light, that democratic light, that will further reassure Nigerians of democracy, to deepen democracy. So again, I will use this opportunity, maybe for the first time, to also appeal to His Excellency, that to say, for those of us who have followed him over time, from concerning his records, he needs to leave behind for posterity a proper democratic culture, such that by the time he leaves, maybe in 4 years or in 8 years, depending on what happens in 2027, Nigerians will have recourse. For instance, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan can be reckoned to be a man who set the foundation for transparent elections in Nigeria, and who fell victim of his own process. That's a legacy. Today, we saw the election that brought in this government, arm of the Labour Party. Like I said, we are not happy with what happened, particularly with INEC. So, the INEC, the result the INEC published, compared to what happened in Jonathan's time, are you getting the award apart? So, what's expected is expected that going forward,
things should be done rightly.
President Tinubu will have to put his feet on the ground to deepen democracy at all levels. So the criticism, yes, APC, I don't think there's no party in Nigeria that has criticized a sitting government in the last 8 years or 10 years, more than the people that eventually formed the APC. So it's expected that from their own track records, they should now be able to have developed thick skin to probably allegations or issues, and to listen more and to act more by doing those things that are proper for democracy. For instance, the state of emergency that was declared, there are flaws. The president has powers notwithstanding, but there are flaws. You have destroyed democratic structures. And if that is not corrected before the end of the next 2 years to 2027 elections, so many opposition states are going to fall victim. So we must not deliberately set up quasi-military systems in the name of trying to get more states.
All right. Yes. Before we wrap up, a concern about this coalition, people are coming together. They are not coming to the Labour Party this time. They are moving to LCP, Social Democratic Party. Are you bothered that your party is losing grab of the reality of political relevance? Now people verify, instead of probably joining hands with Labour Party after defecting from APC, as they come to LCP. What is your concern about all of these coalition talks, operation coming together to even make moves to register a new political party, if possible, to merge, just as we had in 2014 that bettered APC in 2015?
Yes, you see, if we fail to learn from history, we will be condemned by history. First and foremost, SDP. What is the foundation of SDP? May you rest in peace. The foundation of the SDP bettered the PDP. The Chief Tony and enemies of this world in their time, the MKO Abiola, all of these men, the President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu now, these were the men that founded the SDP, Social Democratic Party.
Was the senator under SDP?
Oh, sure. No, I'm giving you, there's a background I'm trying to give here to say, by extension, who is the inheritor of the SDP structure or the MKO Abiola's political structure? Who is the inheritor? Is His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So I want to draw the attention of the El-Rufais and the whole of them who are running into SDP to have a halt and introspect and look at the foundation they are running to. First and foremost, is that the safest foundation to run to? I can tell you, the owner of the SDP is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
As we, he has joined ABC. He has joined ABC, and one of the founding fathers of ABC.
I just gave an instance so that
probably has once associated himself with the SDP.
Yeah, the point I'm making with all of this is to say, I started by citing history, affiliations, families, political families, hegemonies, to say the foundation of the SDP is rooted in MKO Abiola, the likes of Chief Tony and Neni. You agree with me that His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu worked with His Excellency Chief MKO Abiola. Are you with me? All the way. Are you with me? So I'm telling you that the inheritor of the SDP structure, by extension, is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So the advice to El-Rufai and all of them is this. First and foremost, look deeper into the foundation of the party you are running to. That is one. Two, there can be no bigger opposition political party in Nigeria than the Nigeria Workers' Party. Are you with me? Which is the Labour Party. Now, the issues we had in the Labour Party are still the lingering issues. We saw how the Labour movement in Nigeria, are you getting it, came out of their shell for the first time, rallied around workers under the party of banner of Labour Party. Are you getting it? And Peter Obi came, and massive support was given to that process until we couldn't, as a political party, implement our, are you getting it, our own policy, because the policies from the youth leaders office that were designed and developed, are you with me, for implementation in 2023 were scuttled by Julius Abure. So if today we are talking about the issue of how the results, are you getting it, were collated and probably declared, are you getting it, for which Labour Party has no proof of those results, and these were processes I led that team that designed those processes. So what I'm saying again in essence is to say, well, the Labour Party, there is a mandate to reclaim the party and rebrand it, like you are aware, the NLC, and that is what is playing out now. So I want to believe under Senator Nenadi Usman, who is the chairman in acting capacity for the transition, that once the structures are fully put in place and the national convention is conducted, and we have a full-fledged national structure from the world executive to the local government to the states to the NWC and to the bill fully composed, the SDP, every other opposition party in Nigeria will come back to the Labour Party.
So this coming together of Atiku, Amechi, former governor of Rivers, and all of those persons, if they probably now join SDP, you feel that Labour Party, after putting all of the structures, will be able to contend with them? Oh,
certainly, like I said, you see, the era we are in is not the era of the politicians doing the magic. They need to know. We are in an era where the youth have risen up. Are you getting? Because they have the demography, they have the number, and they are determined to reclaim this country under whoever they believe, are you getting, will provide for them a new kind of leadership, which was the philosophy behind Peter Obi, until Labour Party under Abure could not sustain the process, and all of these things happened. And the good news with that is to say, Abure worked himself into the net. So let the law take its course. let the party, he has no tenure, and let the party be rejigged. Immediately the rejigging is complete, then the process for 2027 will start. And because this is the party of the workers, are you with me, sir? This is the party of the youth. A decision is going to be reached subsequently as to how the new structure that we, are you getting it, that we go for the 2027 elections will be propagated. Those decisions are not in the front burner now. But I can preempt you to tell you that you are going to see a situation where young Nigerians, are you with me, are going to be featured more in the next dispensation. And because of that demography, that number which the Labour Party control, that worker strength, are you with me, that the Labour, that ideological linear and basis that the Labour movement, I mean, that they have, because we have the NSA and the TUC and the trade union structures nationwide. So we are going to be coming in the days ahead.
So that will form part of your stronger structure.
Coming in with novel innovations as to how 2027 will transmit.
It will not be like 2023. 2027 will be different.
It will be different.
All right.
We have learned from, even though some of us are experienced, like we say, in this game.
All right.
We have been student leaders for over 28 years. Yes, I say always, I was student union president. I'm the first executive president of the student union government in Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. That was 2002 to 2004. First executive because for the first time, AB used to have 3 unions, Congo, Samaro, and the medical school. So, but for the first time after the prescription of 7 years, they were merger. There was a merger of the entire campuses to produce executive presidency in a joint ticket. Are you getting it, between the campuses, so that if campus A was to produce president, the other campus would produce the secretary general in a joint ticket, which is synonymous with what Nigeria is doing, except we need to expand it to what ABU attempted. So, in the days ahead, by the grace of God, you see, the real opposition is on its way coming.
True, Nigerians shouldn't take this coalition
Labour Party
serious. All right.
There will be coalition.
All right.
Labour Party is the party to beat.
But it looks that it's still the same template of 2014 that any coalition wants to take form with.
Well, maybe you are talking of the eventual candidacy. Maybe Peter Obi is still in the race. Now, what's going to happen?
Your party said that ticket is still for him?
Well, you see, this is a democracy. Peter Obi has thrown, he has raised the bar in expectation for a would-be president for Nigeria, such that for the labor movement in Nigeria to support anybody, you must be seen to be that man who has the experience, who has the capacity, who has the know-how. Are you getting it? Who has the connect, who has the followership. Are you getting it? And who is ready to be a team player, so that together we can, like I said, we will notice the flaws, notwithstanding within our team. But probably it was a learning curve for the first time, because probably as a party we had not gone that hard. But now that we've passed through that part and our fingers have been burnt, in the 2023,
the person has no better how to manage all of the situation.
The party itself,
all right,
and the processes.
And all the interests of all those who are coming into the party. Because you should be ready for all those coming in for the party.
We are going to welcome all of them in the long run.
All right, it will not be like...
It's possible that the APC might be coming to keep behind us.
All right.
27.
We'll see how that plays out. We'll see how that plays out. Comrade Engineer Dr. ANSLEM, thanks so much for joining us tonight on the show. Big Talk, former national leader of Labour Party. Of course, we're looking at Nigeria's democracy. How far now, well, the question that have been raised by Obasanjo, if we are progressing, and of course, the statement of Peter Obi said that democracy seems to be collapsing. What it also means is that APC have also responded towards all of these, saying that Nigeria is moving forward under the president, Tinubu. But in all of that is that there are a lot of monetary, of course, expectation from the government, also looking at the arms of government, how far they are going in terms of development, independence, and of course doing the right thing and respecting the rule of law, which is paramount on our constitution. We'll continue to monitor this development, reactions of many stakeholders, and the conversation towards national development. My name is Michael. Thanks so much for joining us. See you again.